Hi, I'm John Moulis and welcome to another one of my videos where I discuss the treatment I received at the Department of Defence in Canberra whilst I was an employee there in 1990-91. Now, up till now I've talked about the campaign of bullying and harassment and the feeding frenzy that took place there amongst the other workers who didn't want me there, who white-handed me, who tried to drive me out of the department, who succeeded in the long run. And, you know, it was mainly registry staff. I mean, registry was a section, mail sorting and file sentencing, which was mainly young people, unqualified young people, a lot of them poorly educated. You didn't need any educational qualifications. They were base graders mainly. And, you know, and I thought this sort of thing was probably normal amongst them. You couldn't expect anything better from them. And, you know, in the wider department, army officers and army people and all of that. But what I didn't expect was for professional people with university qualifications who were supposedly there to help you, joining in this as well. And there were two people I'm talking about specifically: the EEO officer, that's Equal Employment Opportunity, and the staff counsellor. Now, back then there was a policy known as EEO, Equal Employment Opportunity. It had been people who had been traditionally discriminated against being given a leg up, you know, being treated better. It was a program which supposedly gave those people a fair go, and I was one of the target groups of that. And it all turned out to be just weasel words, meaningless public service rhetoric, because when it came to the crunch, when I tried to get this person to fight for me, they just deserted me. It was a woman named Margaret Warburton. And, you know, when I wasn't getting my appointment confirmed, because people were coming into the department, into registry, idiots, morons, getting their appointments confirmed after 6 months as a formality. And this Callum Bell, who I talked about in the last video, who abused me, yelled out faggot, faggot all the time, he had his appointment confirmed after 6 months, yet they were refusing to confirm my appointment. And of course I drew the conclusion that it was discrimination. It was discrimination. It was the most blatant case of discrimination I can think of. So I went to the EEO officer, and she did interviews with everybody concerned, who I named in my report. And she did her final report, and she had the audacity to put in there that I wasn't being discriminated against. There was no discrimination, and that the fault was all mine, that I should seek professional help in dealing with my disability. You know, and then furthermore, she said in her report that John Moulis should not be permanently appointed to the public service, and his appointment should be annulled. You know, wow, you know, that was great. Thank you very much, you know. Some Equal Employment Opportunity officer there. But the other person was the staff counsellor. Now, after my suicide attempt in early April 1991, and I started back in there, I was the assistant secretary, a fella named Bob Hills, who was the big boss, he referred me to the staff counsellor, Gary Craven. I'm not sure of his first name, I think it was Gary, but his last name was Craven, and it was very appropriate because that's what he was, Craven, a craven coward crawling up to the boss. Anyway, I went into this appointment with the staff counsellor with an open mind, you know, and first thing he said to me was, you know, I've seen far worse probation reports than yours, and the person's been confirmed. He says, I can't understand why you're not being confirmed. And, you know, and I thought, hello, I thought at last, somebody on my side, someone who will fight. And he said to me, he said, look, leave it to me, I'll fight on your behalf. And I was led to believe that I was going to get my appointment confirmed, because at that stage it was vital that my appointment be confirmed, that I be permanently appointed, unsackable, because I had been forced to buy a new car, $13,000, and I was paying off that new car. And it was the recession we had had started up. You couldn't get another job, so it was vital that I be confirmed in the job. And so he led me to believe, he took me into his confidence, and I really did have faith in him. But he turned out to be an utter con man. He turned out to be a confidence trickster, because the next time I went there, which was a little over a week later, I went for an appointment with him, and the first thing he said to me, he said, okay, first thing we have to work out is how you're going to hold on to the car after you leave here. And I said, what? And I thought, what? Back up. What do you mean after I leave here? And he said, oh yeah, he said, you're going to get your appointment annulled. In a few weeks' time, you won't have a job, you won't have a salary coming in, so we've got to try and work these things out now. And I said to him, I said, look, back up a bit. I said, you said you were going to fight on my behalf. You said you were going to get my appointment confirmed. And he said, no, I didn't. He said, and I said to him, I said, yes, you did. And he just deserted me totally, because you know what had happened. Bob Hills, the assistant secretary, was his boss as well. So Bob Hills had told him that I was for the high jump, that they had made up their mind that they were going to annul my appointment, kick me out, and that was all there is about it. The position was non-negotiable. And I said to Craven, I said to him, look, you know, how can I get my appointment confirmed? Can I take legal action against the department? And he said, it could be messy, you know. And I thought, you bastard, you absolute bastard, you know, you tricked me into believing you were going to fight on my behalf. You tricked me into believing in you, and you go and do this. You desert me, and it was just like all the rest. And, you know, and I really did think that him and the EEO officer would be impartial, that they would be professional. You know, they had uni degrees, they had dealings with social welfare, dealing with people and everything. I really did think that they would be different. But when it came to the crunch, they were just like all the rest. They were just robots crawling up to the bosses, taking orders from the bosses, doing the boss's bidding all the time. And of course, I was kicked out of the department. I did have my job taken away from me, and I was left with absolutely nothing. And I was absolutely devastated by what Craven did. I went into a deep depression. It was a total malaise. I could barely dress myself. I could barely function at all. And, you know, I was put into B registry for my last 2 weeks. I gave them 2 weeks notice, and it was like a departure lounge. I was doing sort of marking time until I was kicked out the door. But like I said, I really did leave on a very sour note. The whole thing just left a bitter taste in my mouth. For years it just burnt away what they did to me and how I was treated. It was terrible. I mean, the whole Department of Defence was just a lunatic asylum. Dysfunctional, full of idiots, full of morons. And look, I look back on it now, and it was just an awful period. It was just terrible. Anyway, that's about it for this video. It's about to run out. I hope you've found this enlightening. I hope you've gained a bit of an insight into the Department of Defence and the absolute hell it was working there. And I'll be back next time with another video and another instalment. Thank you for listening. All the best, and see you later. Bye.